This video contains content sponsored by John Wilson Blades and MK Blades. Opinions discussed in this video do not reflect the views of John Wilson or MK.
Well, hello and welcome to the skating lesson for everyone. Christine Brennan is back. Christine, I think you're like Regis on David Letterman.
It's great to be back with you, Dave. And here we are, another skating season, and it's hard to believe, but
I feel like it's been too long since we've seen each other, Christine. Like, what is going on here?
It's been since what? Or I guess that was early April.
Yes.
I've changed my scarf. I know.
How many scarves do you have that you bring to events?
It's funny. These are actually works of art. Mm-hmm. And I know people are going, oh, come, this is ridiculous. The Toledo Museum of Art, my hometown, they sell gorgeous scarves made by local artists.
Oh.
And I have no idea how they make them, like paint stuff on or whatever. So I think I have 4 or 5 of those. So I'm helping the local economy in my hometown of Toledo. And I have something to throw on when it's a little chilly in a skating rink. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, look at you. You're multitasking here. You're watching the Cubs. You're watching ice dance. I mean, really doing the good work for everyone.
This is a really hard stuff, I got to tell you.
I have to say,
you and me both the big bucks.
I saw you on TV a lot this summer, and I think I texted you that Ryan Lochte was such a gift. So let's have a moment of just a debrief. Give us an update on this situation with Ryan. I think I only saw you on CNN every 10 minutes.
That was a crazy few days. Yeah, I was able to break a fair amount of that news in terms of, I got a tip on the Monday, the alleged incident, whatever it was, the gas station incident happened Saturday night, Sunday morning. By Monday, I was hearing from someone who was quite plugged in, saying that what he was saying about having a gun to his head and all of that wasn't true. And then over the next couple of days, started to work on that story and really wanted to get that. Other people working on it. Pretty soon, it all started to come apart for Lochte. And even though there's been a lot of great reporting by USA Today and others talking about that, there certainly was a lot of blame to go around with both the U.S. swimmers and the Brazilians at that gas station. Bottom line was, I was working my sources about the punishment, the suspensions, and that almost it didn't matter what happened at the gas station. Ryan Lochte lying about it, talking with officials, and then going out on the beach and running into Billy Bush and saying something entirely different from what they had just talked about. It infuriated all the U.S. Olympic Committee, State Department, USA Swimming folks. Then you have him leaving the country. The other 3 guys, who are a good 10 years younger than he is, look up to Lochte, who's 32. He's not 22, he's not 18, he's 32 years old. He signed a contract saying a code of conduct that he would behave. Didn't have to go to the Olympics, didn't have to sign that. So Lochte leaves the country. The other 3 guys are left twisting in the wind. It all blows up, as people know. And I just, by being around, longevity is not the world's worst thing, I found out. And by knowing folks and covering the Olympics since 1984, I had the sources and was able to break some of the stories. Certainly that he was going to be suspended, and then when the news did come, I was able to break that.
Did you see him on Dancing with the Stars in that incident?
I have not. Well, I did see that online. I did see that on Twitter or something. I have not watched Dancing with the Stars. I really don't watch Dancing with the Stars, so I'm not that into that. But I know I guess he's still officially alive on Dancing with the Stars, and good for him. I mean, I certainly don't wish Ryan any ill will.
I mean, did you know that he had the attackers in the first episode?
So the 2 people that came running on the stage or whatever. I saw that pretty quickly and did look online, and that was bizarre to say the least. The sad part about that story was that Lochte basically kidnapped or hijacked the Olympics for that second week, and there were athletes who would have gotten a lot more attention who did not because of what he did, about his antics. What he did, Dave, and what those other guys did, if it happened at a fraternity at the University of Florida, where Ryan Lochte went to school, maybe we wouldn't even care. People would look the other way. It wasn't a fraternity at a U.S. school. They were representatives of the United States of America in Brazil, and when Ryan made up the story that he had a gun to his head, even if later on there was a gun involved, and certainly that's what USA Today has reported in a wonderful way, that there was some shakedown of those guys at the gas station. But for Ryan Lochte to say he had a gun to his head played into the worst stereotypes that North Americans and around the world Europeans had about Brazil, and that was the real danger and harm of what Ryan Lochte did. And then the apology that went on for days, one apology, the next, different stories. Michael Phelps showed the way with both DUIs, and he's had 2 of those, and the marijuana photo. 1 paragraph apology, complete apology, take full blame, do it within 24 hours, and then don't say another word. That's what Phelps did. Lochte did the exact opposite, which was another thing that really angered the officials who were, obviously it was their job then to figure out how to punish him.
So what is the status? How long is he punished for?
10-month suspension for Ryan, which includes next year's World Championships. He's 32, he'll be 33 next year. By the time he can compete internationally in a major way, he would be 34. So it may well end up, Dave, being a lifetime ban.
Well, I heard you say that about a similar athlete, Maria Sharapova, not too long ago, and I know we're going to talk about skating, but my mind is going.
Sure.
That ban got overturned, and Christine, I have to say that I thought that was strange. I didn't know if tennis sales were down, ticket sales were down. I thought, this is very strange to me. With this drug meldonium, they say, they're always saying that we don't know the effects. It's banned, so I would imagine that there would have to be some sort of testing. Do we just ban random drugs? What is the story here?
Well, Sharapova should have been banned for the full 2 years. She did get that lesson. She'll be back next spring. That's not the end of the world. She was suspended, lost over a year at a time when she doesn't have a whole lot more time left in her career, certainly. She's towards the end of it. So she was punished. But meldonium is a performance enhancer that the old Soviet army in Afghanistan and now the Russian athletes have been using for years and getting away with because it wasn't banned. Drugs don't get banned like New Year's Eve. You know what I mean? They don't go, WADA doesn't go, oh, let's ban this and we're going to ban it New Year. We're not going to tell anyone and we'll spring it on people New Year's Eve that it's banned January 1st. That's ridiculous. You can go back and look October, November, December. There was conversation. There were emails sent to Sharapova that I guess she said she didn't open. It's the most important email that she could possibly receive. Whatever that is for you, for those folks listening, for me and watching, how do you not open your emails when this goes to the very heart of your career, your livelihood, everything that you love? You have to open World Anti-Doping Agency or Tennis Federation emails about drug testing. And she didn't do that. I find that, it's either just one of the dumbest things of all time, or she's not telling the truth, and she opened it and just didn't want to pay attention, or who knows what. She didn't put, of course, this meldonium. It's basically treats heart disease, angina. Amazing that like 17% of all Russian athletes are having these heart problems.
Including an ice dancer who was just at the press conference.
Right, well, there you go, exactly. But the bottom line is, how is that possible? What a coincidence, they're all having heart trouble. All these young athletes in the prime of their life, obviously cynicism here, they're not. What they were saying is they were taking this because they knew, they were trying to cover up for the fact that they were taking something that was performance enhancing. The world caught on to it, then they banned the drug, they gave notice to the athletes, Maria missed the notices, and that's all on her, 100% on her. You may remember in 2000 at the Olympics in Sydney, a gymnast from Romania, Andrea Redican, took some cold medicine, she said by mistake. She had her gold medal stripped away. That's what happened.
Well, how come I guess what I'm asking is, how come Andrea Redican, they acted swiftly, they acted definitively? My question is, with this meldonium, are we not seeing a definitive ban or a definitive action on behalf of the international because it's so widespread, because it is so, this WADA report was supposed to come out and it was supposed to be announced after the Olympics. They were saying possibly October. I haven't heard anything about this, and were they hoping that everyone would just forget? It was the biggest story going into the Olympics, and everyone has moved on.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that this one's a little more confusing because of how long it stays in the system, and they should have done more research ahead of time. Because if it could stay in the system after January 1st, that might mean you took it in December. For Maria, she admitted to taking it twice in January. So the old, how long does it stay in the system excuse doesn't work for her. And frankly, the fact that she didn't see her emails and that there's sympathy for her because her agent didn't open the emails, I find preposterous. She should have had a 2-year ban. That's like the dog ate my homework. It's like Floyd Landis or anybody else. So that's me, but I would be the law and order candidate if I ran for office, which I'm not running for office. But so there's that. Meldonium is more confusing. What happened with the drug testing in Sydney or most others, these are banned substances. They've been on for years. So meldonium has been added. It was a very choppy, very problematic rollout. That doesn't lessen the fact that it is a performance-enhancing drug that has been used for years by people who got away with it because they could, because it wasn't banned. It's banned now, and I'm really glad they're looking at it. The bottom line on all of this, it's not necessarily always clear-cut in terms of, as we've seen, they've made some mistakes on the meldonium thing, the World Anti-Doping Agency had. Bottom line is, though, do we want clean sport or do we not? Do we want people to be able to cheat or not? Maybe we decide as a culture, go ahead, best chemist wins. I'm not for that. But if a majority of people wanted that, okay, best chemist wins, and maybe in 100 years someone's winning the, figure skating with, 4 arms and 3 heads. I have no idea, and I'm obviously, being facetious, but that's a choice that our society can make, to let everyone just cheat away and take whatever drugs they want. Until, Dave, we make that decision as a culture, as a sports culture. When and if we make that decision, fine. But until we do make that decision, you're going to have to find what people are taking, do these studies, find all these things that are not banned. They're out there, designer drugs, new things, old things like meldonium that no one's focused on, and then have this wonderful process that can have troubles and can be flawed, but a process to get these drugs banned, to catch people who are cheating, people who are not taking these drugs. They're taking away medals that are deserved and others deserve. That's the bottom line on that.
Will we see the names from the McLaren report? I mean, that could change the results of the Olympics dating back.
Sure. I think we're going to see all of this. And again, remember in 08 and 12, we started to see the names of people. They can go back and test for other things, and that's why they keep urine samples. I do think that. And I think it was a really sad day in sport when the International Olympic Committee did not ban the entire Russian team, the entire Russian Federation from Rio. About 1/3 were banned, 2/3 weren't, and that's why you had the swimming controversies. But of course, track and field was banned, and that was good. So the Russians should not have been there. So this is, I think you've hit on something in the sense it's a very uneven process to do the best we all can. I mean, as journalists, other than reporting and commenting on it, but the best all of the world can to try to catch as many cheaters as possible, so that athletes who are clean, who are doing it the right way, can actually be rewarded. And that, to me, that's the end result here. But it's not the world's easiest process to do, and you throw in all kinds of international intrigue. And the Russians are just, they're the worst, and they've been cheating for years, and we know it. And meldonium allowed them to legally performance enhance for years.
Now, they claim that the Williams sisters and Simone Biles were legally cheating with what they were getting away from, with, of course, the Russian hackers that released those. When that came out, those 3 athletes were the ones who were named. Did you find that suspicious, perhaps? Were there...
Elena Deladon was on there, too, as I recall.
Yes, but...
Yeah, well, Russian hacking, hello. I mean, we've been watching this election. No, the difference here is they had therapeutic use exemptions. Keep in mind, for the last, I believe it was 3 years, I haven't looked at everything with Sharapova over the last few weeks, but I believe it was 3 years, the last 3 years, that Sharapova did not put her use of meldonium on her medical report with her doctor. So there is the huge difference. Simone Biles, the others, they had this on, they had a therapeutic use exemption to UE, totally legal, totally on the up and up. Sharapova is hiding the fact that she's taking meldonium from her doctor. That's huge. That's a huge difference. So it's a complete false equivalency. I know you're not saying it was. Entirely false equivalency to compare what was going on with Russia, state-sponsored, to what some U.S. athletes did, who, by the way, did it all right. I loved, I think it was Elena Deladon, the basketball star, saying, "Thank you, hackers, for allowing me to prove that I did everything by the books and I'm not a cheater." I love that. That was a great tweet by her. But if what the Russians were doing, if it were in the United States, I think people get confused because we've given the world Lance Armstrong, we've given the world Marion Jones, and yes, we have.
There are going to be a lot of comments here that you're anti-Russian. You've been tough on a lot of people. I don't think they love you at Penn State. I don't think they love you.
Marion Jones, Lance Armstrong. I mean, just Google my name and those names. I probably wrote more columns on Marion Jones maybe than, I don't know how many people wrote others, but certainly over them, very critical of Marion Jones early and often, and Lance Armstrong as well. Oh yeah, this has nothing to do with country to me. This has to do with, are you cheating or not? And I know people might not believe that. It's true. I mean, just look at my record of covering American athletes who misbehaved, whether it's performance-enhancing drugs, whether it's awful stories like the Penn State story, Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky, obviously, that just child rapist, just awful, just hard to even fathom. As Tanya Harding, on and on it goes. So I think I've been, and then of course the drug issues with people like Marion Jones and Lance Armstrong, Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds, etc., all of them U.S. citizens. But what was going on in Russia, if it had been equivalent, if there was an equivalent action in the United States, it would have been an Obama cabinet secretary, like Health and Human Services Secretary, for 5 years running a cheating doping program with the directors of the CIA, the FBI, of course, U.S. Olympic Committee, U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, hundreds of U.S. athletes, state-sponsored from the top, maybe Obama, maybe Putin, I probably believe Putin knew about this, all the way down through all these government agencies. That's what Russia did, and that's why it's so particularly egregious that the Russians, all of them, were not kicked out of the Rio Games.
Well, I want to talk to you about today. There's been a weird vibe in the building for me, I think, after today's events, because this event has such an echo of the World Championships. You have Ashley and Gracie, and this was billed as the showdown between them. We were all excited that they were finally going to be in the same Grand Prix event at Skate America. Brings back Tara and Michelle, brings back Sasha, Sarah, and Michelle together. The good days of skating. Unfortunately, here we have U.S. Figure Skating, who had their Upper Great Lakes Regionals the same weekend here, so you don't have those audiences and all those family members who are going to fill the seats. And you also have the Chicago Cubs, which obviously I don't think anyone could ever predict that they would be taking away figure skating tickets. But exactly. Not the best event, not the best crowd. Here, although it was decent for the ladies.
Nice crowd for the women in the long program, yeah, for sure.
But overall, the energy in the building has been a little bit strange, especially I think in the press room because of what happened today. And I want to talk because you are champion for women. You were speaking you went to the wrong arena the other day after you were speaking to about 1,000 women.
In Toledo,
yes.
I did go to the right venue for that, yes. I'm happy to know. Yeah.
But, Gracie Gold made some interesting quotes today, and you wrote a column about it, and I want to get your thoughts because...
No, in fact, I think it's important to read some of them. We were talking to her after her very difficult performance, fell twice, popped a jump, ended up in 5th place, 12 points behind Ashley Wagner, who won. But that wasn't the worst of what happened. She came just a couple hundred feet from us here, and she started talking about she has to adjust her physical shape, she told us, and mental shape, to see if her program can be salvaged. And one of our colleagues, he said, does this require more stamina, more time to get ready? Gracie actually replied haltingly and alarmingly, you don't often see, there aren't that many, kind of starting, you just don't see overweight figure skaters for a reason. It's something I've struggled with this whole year and in previous seasons, Gracie said. It's just difficult when you're trying to do the difficult triple jumps. It's something that I'm addressing. It's obviously not where it should be at this caliber of the competition. At this point, our friend Lynn Rutherford said, immediately picked up on the word overweight, the use of the word overweight in public, and said appropriately and correctly that Gracie looked slim. And Gracie thanked her. It's just not what's required for the sport. She kept going. It's a lean body sport, and it's just not what I have currently, but thank you, she said. And then I pointed out in my column, not that I need to do a dramatic reading of the whole column, but I said, I've covered sports involving young women for years. This was the first time I've ever heard one of them speak so jarringly about her weight in public. I mean, we're talking over 30 years of covering sports, as you know, gymnastics, figure skating, tennis, golf. And then I echoed Lynn's comment saying, the compliment. I felt that was important. It was, as a human being, frankly, it was watching Gracie, and you're kind of, I forget being a journalist, now you're watching a young 21-year-old have such trouble up there talking about her weight, and she looks terrific. She was not obviously interested in accepting any praise at that moment, and her quote, Gracie said, "This summer I just wasn't in athletic shape mentally and certainly not physically, just dealing with after Worlds, what happened after Worlds. I have," where she of course had a chance to win and did not, "I have all the support that I need, I just have to rely on them more." And then basically at that point I thought, I really was alarmed by this. It was really tough to watch, I thought. And maybe this sounds too dramatic, I don't mean it that way. So anyway, I found Ashley Wagner, right here actually, we chatted a few hours ago, and she was amazing, because I brought it up. I said, "Are you aware that Gracie's going through some issues, and what do you think about that?" And I realized, I said to Ashley, this isn't your job to worry about Gracie. And to Ashley's great credit, she said, no, and she said she wanted to speak about this. I would have to say every athlete has that one Mount Everest that they have to climb, Wagner told me. For me, it was deciding to leave my house, take my skating over for myself, she said. That was her biggest challenge. That's when she turned into the athlete that I am today, says Ashley Wagner to me. And then moving to Gracie. For her, I think that losing that world title was devastating for her, understandably, because she had it, and then the next day she didn't. The hardest part about all of this is you see someone struggling and hurting, Ashley said of Gracie, and no one can help her right now except for herself. It's going to be her having had enough of it, and getting herself out of it. I think that we have a very supportive federation, Ashley says, speaking of USFS, and everyone is doing their best to give her the tools that she needs to get through this, but it's going to come down to her wanting to use them and getting ready to let go. And then she added, and Ashley wanted to do this, and I thanked her for her time on this. She said, at the end of the day, a person's a person, and you see them in pain, you want to do whatever you can to help out. We're not very close, she said, but I think she's a sweet girl, and I think that she just kind of needs to find a way to push through this. Ashley Wagner on Gracie. She's an awesome athlete, and I respect her so much for what she is capable of. This is not the end of Gracie. I know that for a fact, said Ashley Wagner. So I felt it was important to write about this. I can't say enough, Dave, how, having covered sports for years, I have never, that I can recall, seen a top athlete or any athlete I've been interviewing in public start in a press conference format, or a mixed zone format, as Gracie was, with 15 of us around her, and a lot of iPhones and cameras and tape, iPhones taping the conversation, talking so poignantly about being overweight, when of course she, to our eye, looks terrific and looks slim, and out walking on the street, you would say, my goodness. And it brings up a lot of issues about body image. And I will never shy away from that. I did in Inside Edge. Other colleagues, of course, have done these things. Joan Ryan with Little Girls in Pretty Boxes, and it just was really, it really was the first time I can remember seeing something like that bubble to the surface in a public forum here at Skate America. I do think Gracie's got unlimited potential. I think she hopefully will be fine in the long haul. But to see her still struggling from the Worlds to now. To see her look lost, and then to talk about her weight when she looks so terrific. Wow, that was...
After saying that she was thinking about skipping the Grand Prix, where do you think she goes from here? I mean, you've seen other sports where people come back from difficult situations. Do you think she takes time off, regroups before nationals? I mean, obviously, it would take a miracle at this point for her to qualify for the Grand Prix final. I mean, the second event is not...
What does she have? Is she in Paris, I think? She usually goes
to France. And she, 5th place here.
Right, so she gets a couple points. And then of course, everyone else is building
at least she would have to at least win the next event to even make.
She would, because, you're right. And Ashley is, of course, on a roll.
Yeah.
Win here. To me, Ashley looks just so confident and comfortable. And frankly, it's such a stark difference right now between these two who have shared the spotlight for 5 years now in U.S. figure skating. This is their 5th season, and we kind of link. In fact, one of the reasons I'm here, you're here, is because it's this rivalry, right? Gracie and Ashley go head to head at Skate America. We never see them together at Skate America, and here they are. And then to see it be so divergent and alarmingly so, with Ashley still riding that wave of confidence and looking great and happy with herself, even though she admitted there was a lot she left out of her program. Nothing unusual about that. It's kind of the spring training aspect of this, early season aspect of this. But for Gracie to where she goes, I mean, the thought was in my head: should she just take the year off and go take a break?
Didn't Andre Agassi do that in tennis?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
People have done it. The problem with sports where you have a certain shelf life is that, and most sports you have, I mean, NFL players, the average career is usually 4 years. So for every Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, you have someone who has a cup of coffee in the NFL and then moves on. So all these sports, no athlete wants to give up any moment of their time. We talked a little bit ago about Sharapova having to give up a full year of her career near the end of her career. That's devastating, and that is punishment. But so I think with Gracie, watching her, it was very, I think you probably felt this way too, that was very uncomfortable to watch. I really felt for her, and that's why I spoke up and said, that I felt that she was basically telling her, she looked great and wanting to be positive. It's like, you're not a journalist right now, you're a human being, and you're watching someone have such trouble in front of you, just standing right in front of all of us. So my question would be, why not just take off the rest of the year? Now, I realize anyone in skating would say, no, you can't do that. Okay.
I would say you can. I mean, you like to quote Michelle Kwan. You like to bring her up. Michelle Kwan at the 97 Worlds, when she was on ABC, said that, performances are like a broken record. That when she was skating bad, she said it's a bad broken record, and then you hopefully have a good one when you start to have,
Right.
If she keeps having these performances, Worlds, Skate America, at some point the problem becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Wouldn't it be better to take the time off, right the ship, get things together, come back next season?
Right.
They're not going to forget about Gracie Gold in the U.S. They're going to let her come back.
Oh, of course. Well,
Yeah.
no, I think, and maybe I didn't say this right a few minutes ago, I actually think she should consider this. As I said, I'm not shocked by too many things these days. I've got to see.
Because not only did she say overweight, she also said mental shape. And I think that says that she's
Physical
not
shape,
in the
mental shape.
Yeah.
Right, and clearly she's still feeling the effects of Worlds. I mean, that hit her harder than we knew it hit her hard. For first place after the short, and then fourth when it's all sitting there for the taking. In Boston, breaking the drought, 10-year drought, and it's Ashley Wagner breaking the drought, not Gracie. Gracie just obviously wasn't up to the task. Ashley was. Throw all that together, that was what, 6 months ago? Yeah, basically 6 months ago, and almost 7 months ago actually, right? And now that she's still dealing with it, so yes. I know what I know and I know what I don't know, as I think that journalists need to say that all the time. I have no idea what's going on. We saw the tip of the iceberg today, and it was incredibly troubling, and that's why I wrote about it, and that's why we're talking about it. I have no idea. But if that tip of the iceberg that we saw today, in an unprecedented in my career moment where an athlete, a female athlete, body image being so important for young women, and this is an issue to not goof around with, and here she's talking about it and mentioning being, that she thinks she's overweight and had to lose a few pounds and what have you, and quickly, and there's all these issues. Okay, and we know it's figure skating. We know these things happen. I'm not right. I would say, sure, take the year off. But what I'm saying, realistically, she's not going to take the year off. The pressure is so great on these young people. And for every Michelle Kwan or for every Tara Lipinski or Sarah Hughes, how many hundreds of young women are put on the discard pile before they get their driver's license or before they graduate from high school? That has been a topic that I addressed in Inside Edge and talked about on book tours, appearances and book tour signings, whatever, for 10, 20 years ago. So that's nothing new. The difference is to watch it happen in front of your eyes as we did today.
I mean, at what point does this become Vanessa Adler?
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, but that's the thing. You made a great point a few minutes ago. If Gracie just says, you know what, I've got to take the rest of the year off, of course she can come back. But you and I both know, and everyone watching us knows, that this is the year before the Olympic year. And it is such a crucial year. Right behind us is where the press conferences have been. And Ashley said it, and so many other people have talked about it. I asked Adam and Jason about it. That this is this is the year before the Olympics, but it's really 16 months now. It's just one big year, 16-month time span before, of course, the Olympic Games in 2018. So, I mean,
It's one long year for all of us.
Yes, it is. But you have to be a pretty remarkable young person to say, I need to take a break here. I mean, Michael Phelps, who is, 10 years older than Gracie, he took a break only because he had a second DUI, and he had to. He was forced to. It was time for him to go to rehab, and he was also kicked out of his sport for 6 months, suspended for 6 months by USA Swimming. So I'm not, as a voluntary move, that's a tough thing to do. And this, by the way, may sound ridiculous the next time we see Gracie and she does well, and I'm really hopeful for that. But what we're both saying is that maybe some time off would be good. I cannot imagine we will see her take time off because there's just too much at stake. And the reality is, like Gracie, like Ashley, like Missy Franklin in swimming, they have sponsors. People want to see them. And now you've got parents, you've got friends, you've got all kinds of things. You got bills to pay. You're just going to walk away the year before the Olympics? maybe she should, maybe she shouldn't. I have no idea. What I saw today was troubling. That's why I wrote about it. That's why we're talking about it. But I also do think it is very hard to just step away, especially at this time in a sport where the young ones are coming up. And
well, that's a good point. I mean, not to make light of it, but another girl did come up today with Mariah Bell, who defeated Gracie, defeated Malasada, defeated, big names in the sport. You have a silver medalist here, Mariah Bell, on the rise. I mean, Mariah Bell, in January, was crying for an hour backstage because she did too many double toes in a program and was defeated at nationals. And, here she's a silver medalist months later. There are other people on the horizon. I guess, what do you see for the future of U.S. ladies skating? You've written about the drought, you've written about the audiences. How are you feeling about things looking into the Olympics?
Well, I think Mariah Bell was great today, and it was fun to watch. And just that you're reminded of the great spirit of the kid that comes out of the blue and has a great moment. It's wonderful. And that's when skating, is skating with those. The new thing is very exciting, and with Polina Edmonds and now Mariah, of course working the same rink with Ashley and Adam Rippon and the Rafael Argentinians. There's a lot going on there. That's very interesting, and it'll be fun to watch Mariah over the next year and a half, especially working with on the same ice as these people are just doing amazing things. Ashley and Adam, towards the end of their careers, when most people are saying, you're washed up, forget it, and all of a sudden they're doing, Ashley, one of those very rare women in the history of figure skating who's getting better with age. It's pretty remarkable. Right now, Ashley is on top of U.S. women's skating, and there's no doubt about it. She looks confident and comfortable, and with the world silver, with Skate America, presuming she'll do pretty well at her other Grand Prix and get first, second, or third, Grand Prix final. She'll go into the U.S. Nationals, one would think is the favorite. She would go into Worlds as a medal favorite. And now we're in the Olympic year, and if we're not already. So I'd say you have to say that Ashley Wagner, it's kind of shocking in some ways because she would agree, everyone would agree that we kind of, looked at her as a three-time national champ. You don't overlook her, but Gracie and everything else. Ashley Wagner is the leading American woman and certainly would have to be considered an Olympic medal favorite at this point. Not the favorite, one of the favorites for an Olympic medal. And her performances speak for themselves. Gracie, an incredible wild card. She could win the Olympic gold medal. She could not make the Olympic team. Obviously, that's also the case with anyone. But with the way their system is set up with points and for performances, Ashley's already banking points and performances that will go towards that international committee meeting as they actually pick the Olympic team. So Ashley's almost getting to a place where she would be making the team even if she did have another performance like Boston in 2014, which I'm sure she's hoping she does not. So there's that. But Gracie, I think right now, if you said to me, Dave, which you might have wanted to say this and maybe would ask, who's the U.S. Olympic team? I still got to say it's for Pyeongchang. I still have to say it's Ashley, Gracie. You got to right now say that. And then it's either Polina or Mariah or
Mariah Nagasu.
Yeah, Mariah Nagasu. Absolutely, which would be amazing. And you're right. You've said it. Don't count out Mariah. I'm not counting her out. She's a tough cookie, a great competitor. And I think everyone on earth who follows figure skating would love to see her have another shot at the Olympics after what happened in Boston. So I would say that would be the case. But again, as the wonderful Olympic coach Audrey Wissiger says, skating is a slippery sport. Quoted her on that in Inside Edge. And if I've learned anything, it's just you just have no idea. But I think, unlike most Olympic years where you have a complete transition or maybe one holdover from previous years, even in the old days, Peggy Fleming made it 64 and then of course was ready to win the gold in 68 and on it goes. I think in this case, we really may see hardly a changeover and see at least 2 or 3. But this is Gracie, these will be interesting, important months for Gracie. And I as a journalist, I know I write things and say things and people get mad, or it can be tough or harsh, or I treat these as professional athletes and I cover them, and it's I'm going to be as honest as you well know as I could ever be, and serving the people who read me or see me on TV or see me on, of course, your wonderful podcasts and what is this? This isn't a podcast. This is a
It's a vlog. I don't even know what we are
What are
anymore.
we? We're film. We're feature film.
Well, we also do written pieces together.
That's
we do
right.
it all,
That's
Christine.
right. But whatever, I will always be true to that. I mean, so I'm not beholden to any skater. I'm not beholden to U.S. figure skating. My sole purpose is to be as honest as possible. I really do feel for Gracie. I really feel for Gracie right now, and I hope that instead of everyone just saying, oh yeah, if she loses another few pounds or whatever, which are common conversations to have, I hope everyone in skating just steps back and go, wow, that was a moment today. This is a young woman who's a great person, a really good person, fun to talk to, interesting quote, introspective, obviously represents the United States beautifully, has for years. And let's just step back and remember that as we look at this. And a journalist, yes, I'm a journalist, but I'm also a human being, and what I saw today was troubling.
Well, Christine, I'm sure we're going to be interested to cover this story, what happens with these remarkable women over the next 16 months, and I'm sure we'll be chatting again. Thanks so much for coming on.
I look forward to it, Dave. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody.